Most people feel like they're behind. Not occasionally, not during moments of uncertainty, almost constantly. Even people who are learning, even people who are capable, even people who are doing more than they ever have before. That feeling of lagging, of missing something, of needing to catch up, has become so common that many people treat it as a fact. But it isn't. It's a signal, and it's a misleading one. Feeling behind does not mean you are behind. It means the way you're measuring progress has quietly changed. And most people don't realize when that happens. In earlier periods of life, progress was easier to sense. You learned something, you applied it, you moved forward. The feedback loop was slow enough for the mind to register completion. Today, that loop is broken. Information moves faster than understanding. Outputs move faster than learning. Visibility moves faster than mastery. And when visibility accelerates faster than comprehension, the mind starts to misread reality. You see more than you can integrate. And the brain interprets that gap as falling behind. This is the illusion. The assumption underneath the feeling is simple. If I feel behind, it must be because I am. That assumption used to work. In slower systems, lag usually meant delay. Delay usually meant inaction. And inaction usually meant falling behind. But accelerated systems behave differently. In accelerated systems, everyone feels behind, especially the people who are actually engaged. Because the reference point is no longer your own progress. It's the visible output of thousands of others compressed into a constant stream. You're not comparing where you are now to where you were last year. You're comparing your internal process to everyone else's external highlight. That comparison is fundamentally distorted. You are measuring depth against surface, understanding against announcement, integration against exposure. And no human mind can feel caught up inside that equation. This is why capable people often feel more behind than unengaged people, because engagement increases exposure, and exposure increases perceived distance. The more you see, the more you feel you're missing. Not because you are missing something, but because the system shows you more than the mind can meaningfully process. This is especially important to understand now, because modern environments don't just accelerate information, they accelerate comparison. You don't just learn faster, you see faster. You hear about breakthroughs faster. You encounter results faster. And the mind does something subtle when this happens. It confuses awareness with obligation. Just because you are aware of something does not mean you are late to it. Just because something exists does not mean you were supposed to be there already. But the feeling doesn't care about logic. It operates at the level of perception, and perception is shaped by context. In an environment where new developments appear constantly, the baseline expectation shifts. The mind starts to believe that staying relevant requires constant acceleration. And when constant acceleration isn't possible, which it never is, the result is a chronic sense of insufficiency. This is not anxiety in the traditional sense. It's not fear. It's orientation loss. You don't know where you stand anymore. So the mind fills in the blank with the most available explanation. I must be behind. But that explanation is lazy, and worse, it's inaccurate, because progress is not erased by speed, it's obscured by it. Understanding takes time. Integration takes pauses. Judgment takes perspective. None of those things scale at the same rate as information flow. And they were never meant to. This is where the illusion becomes costly. When people feel behind, they rush. They skim instead of understand. They collect instead of integrate. They chase relevance instead of developing judgment. And ironically, that behavior creates the very stagnation they're trying to escape. Because rushing does not reduce distance. It increases fragmentation. Fragmentation makes thinking feel shallow, and shallow thinking reinforces the sense of being behind. So the cycle tightens. This is why clarity requires something counterintuitive. It requires stepping out of the race you never agreed to run. Not by disengaging from the world, but by refusing to let visibility dictate worth. Here's the reframing that matters. Progress is not how close you are to what's visible. Progress is how well you can orient yourself within complexity. If you understand more clearly than you did before, you are not behind, even if others appear ahead, especially if others appear ahead. Because what you're seeing is motion, not direction, movement, not meaning, acceleration, not understanding. This is why calm thinkers often look slow, and why rushed thinkers often look impressive, until they don't. The modern world rewards appearance of momentum, but the future rewards judgment, and judgment cannot be rushed. It is built through digestion, not exposure. So when you feel behind, the most useful question is not, how do I catch up? It's, what am I measuring myself against? If the answer is a feed, a timeline, a stream, or an output that doesn't include process, context, or failure, you are measuring against a distortion. And distortions always produce anxiety. They always produce urgency. They always produce self-doubt. But none of those are signals of truth. They are signals of misalignment. This matters because the coming years will amplify this effect, not reduce it. Systems will move faster. Outputs will multiply. Visibility will increase. And the pressure to feel current will intensify. The people who remain grounded will not be the ones who keep up with everything. They will be the ones who understand what actually matters. They will know when speed helps and when it hurts. They will recognize that relevance is not about being early. It's about being clear. So if you've been feeling behind, here's the recalibration. You are not late to your own development. You are not failing because you can't absorb everything. You are navigating an environment that produces the sensation of lag by design. And the way forward is not more urgency. It's better orientation. Clarity does not come from acceleration. It comes from choosing where attention belongs. From recognizing that not everything visible is important, and not everything important is visible immediately. That is the shift. And once that shift happens, something changes internally. the pressure eases. The need to chase fades, and thinking becomes usable again. Not because the world slowed down, but because you stopped measuring yourself against a distorted signal. So here is the landing thought for episode 2. Feeling behind is not evidence that you're failing. It's evidence that you're measuring progress in a system that doesn't reflect how understanding actually works. When you recalibrate that measurement, urgency dissolves, and in that space, clarity returns.